The Dangers of Mysticism by Aleister Crowley. Affectionately inscribed to Arthur Edward Waite. A curious idea is being sedulously disseminated, and appears to be gaining ground, that mysticism is the safe path to the highest, and magic the dangerous path to the lowest. There are several comments to be made on this assertion. One may doubt whether anything worth doing at all is free from danger, and one may wonder what danger can threaten the man whose object is his own utter ruin. One may also smile a little grimly at the integrity of those who try to include all magic under black magic, as is the present trick of the mystic militant here on earth. Now, as one who may claim to a slight acquaintance with the literature of both paths, and to have been honored by personal exposition from the adepts of both paths, I believe that I may be able to bring them fairly into the balance. This is the magical theory, that the first departure from the infinite must be equilibrated and so corrected. So the Greek magician, Maya, the maker of illusion, the creator, must be met in combat. Then, if Satan be divided against Satan, how shall his kingdom stand? Both vanish, the illusion is no more. Mathematically, 1 plus minus 1 equals 0. And this path is symbolized the tarot under the figure of the magus. The card numbered 1, the first departure from 0, but referred to Beth. 2, Mercury, the god of wisdom, magic, and truth. And this magus has the twofold aspect of the magician himself, and also of the great magician described in Liber 418, Equinox, number 5, special supplement, page 144. Vision of the Voice, 7th author, otherwise. Now, the formula of the mystic is much simpler. Mathematically, it is 1 minus 1 equals 0. He is like a grain of salt cast into the sea. The process of dissolution is obviously easier than the shock of worlds which the magician contemplates. Sit down and feel yourself as dust in the presence of God, nay, as less than dust, as nothing, is the all-sufficient simplicity of his method. Unfortunately, many people cannot do this. And when you urge your inability, the mystic is only too likely to shrug his shoulders and be done with you. And this path is symbolized by the Fool of the Tarot, who is alike the mystic and the infinite. But apart from this question, it is by no means certain that the formula is as simple as it seems. How is the mystic to assure himself that God is really God, and not some demon masquerading in his image? We find Garrison sacrificing Huss to his God. We find a modern journalist who has done more than dabble in mysticism writing. This mystic life, at its highest, is undeniably selfish. We find another writing, like the old lady who ended her criticism of the universe. There's only Jock and Mel be saved. And I'm no that sure o' Jock. We find another, who with age of 99 foams at the mouth over an alleged breach of her alleged copyright. We find another so sensitive that the mention of his name by the present writer induces an attack of epileptic mania. If such are really united with or absorbed in God, what of God? We are told in Galatians that the fruits of the Spirit are peace, love, joy, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance, and somewhere else, by their fruits ye shall know them. Of these evildoers, then, we must either think that they are dishonest and have never attained at all, or that they have united themselves with the devil. Such are the brethren of the left-hand path, described so thoroughly in Liber 418. Equinox, Volume 5, Special Supplement, page 119. So that would be the third author of the Vision of the Voice. Of these, the most characteristic sign is their exclusiveness. We are the men. Ours is the only way. All Buddhists are wicked. The insanity of spiritual pride. The magician is not nearly so liable to fall into this fearful mire of pride as the mystic. He is occupied with things outside himself and can correct his pride. Indeed, he is constantly being corrected by nature. He, the great one, cannot run a mile in 4 minutes. The mystic is solitary and shut up, lacks wholesome combat. We are all schoolboys. And the football field is a perfect prophylactic of swelled head. When the mystic meets an obstacle, he makes believe about it. He says it is only illusion. He has the morphino-manic feeling of bien-être, the delusions of the general paralytic. He loses the power of looking any fact in the face. He feeds himself on his own imagination. He persuades himself of his own attainment. If contradicted on the subject, he is cross and spiteful and caddish. If I criticize Mr. X, he screams and tries to injure me behind my back. If I say that Madame Y is not exactly Saint Teresa, he writes a book to prove that she is. Such persons, swollen with wind, and the rank mist they draw, wrought inwardly, and foul contagion spread, as Milton wrote of a less dangerous set of spiritual guides. For their unhappy followers and imitators, no words of pity suffice. The whole universe is for them but the glass of their fool's face. Only, unlike Sir Lametis, they admire it. Moral and spiritual narcissi, they perish in the waters of illusion. A friend of mine, a solicitor in Naples, has told me strange tales of where such self-adoration ends. And the subtlety of the devil is shown particularly in the method by which neophytes are caught by the Black Brothers. There is an exaggerated awe, a solemnity of diction, a vanity of archaic phrases, a false veil of holiness upon the unclean shrine. Stilted affectation masquerades as dignity, a rag-bag of medievalism apes profundity. Jargon passes for literature. Phylacteries increase about the hem of the perfect prig, prude, and Pharisee. Corollary to this attitude is the lack of all human virtue. The greatest magician, when he acts in his human capacity, acts as a man should. In particular, he has learnt kind-heartedness and sympathy. Unselfishness is very often his long suit. Just this the mystic lacks. Trying to absorb the lower planes into the higher, he lacks the lower, a mistake no magician could make. The nun, Gertrude, when it came to her turn to wash up the dishes, used to explain that she was very sorry, but at that particular moment, she was being married with full choral service to the Savior. Hundreds of mystics shut themselves up completely and forever. Not only is their wealth-producing capacity lost to society, but so is their love and goodwill, and worst of all, so is their example and precept. Christ, at the height of his career, found time to wash the feet of his disciples. Any master who does not do this on every plane is a black brother. The Hindus honor no man who becomes sannyasi, merely a hermit, until he has faithfully fulfilled all his duties as a man and a citizen. Celibacy is immoral, and the celibate shirks one of the greatest difficulties of the path. Beware of all those who shirk the lower difficulties. It's a good bet that they shirk higher difficulties too. But the special dangers of the path, there is here no space to write. Each student finds at each step temptations reflecting his own spiritual weakness. I have therefore dealt solely with the dangers inseparable from the path itself. Dangers inherent in its nature. Not for one moment would I ask the weakest to turn back or turn aside from that path, but I would ask even the strongest to apply these correctives. First, from the path itself, dangers inherent in its nature. Not for one moment would I ask the weakest to turn back or turn aside from that path, but I would ask even the strongest to apply these correctives first. The skeptical or scientific attitude, both in outlook and method. Second, a healthy life, meaning by that what the athlete and the explorer mean. Third, hearty human companionship and devotion to life, work, and duty. Let him remember that an ounce of honest pride is better than a ton of false humility, although an ounce of true humility is worth an ounce of honest pride. The man who works has no time to bother with either, and let him remember Christ's statement of the law to love God with all thy heart and thy neighbor as thyself. And what was that, Rabbi Hillel? The monks and stuff that write about their bad thoughts and bad deeds and stuff like this, you kind of don't want to uncover your mistakes, criminal or otherwise. And there's a lot of things we can talk about, just like the left-hand path and the right-hand path not being, which spiritual side you're on or whatever. Just the flow issue. High magic and low magic is, I guess, in a way, what this can be called. Are magic as far as consciousness work, and therefore you got to deal with the various consciousness things. And the mysticism, maybe you're not quite dealing with that, right? And it's and celibacy, see, the employing the different aspects of life, just like, the whole thing about the marriage and all that other stuff, is that you employ the drives and the functions of life and you fulfill your duties there. And, that enables you to more fully employ these different things. And, if you're making the path about, yourself and your personality and how great, you want to be better than other people, that sort of stuff, then that's, and then in another way, when you say, oh, I'm so less, and you debase yourself artificially, it not only looks kind of ridiculous, but it kind of, is more of a delusion than the other way. And what's one of the other things that we can look at here, is that we can look at, okay, what do people mean by God, right? Moha and Maya, I would say no. Because I would say illusion and delusion, anything, So illusion and delusion are choices. It's not the inherent condition, but we're prone towards those things. And some people, one of the theories about the Goetia is that you work with the demons or whatever other similar system to that, and therefore, one becomes sort of in control of those things rather than, it just popping up and getting control over you in an uncontrolled way. And regardless of what path you have, some stuff is better than other stuff for other people. And honestly, we are self-interested. I wouldn't use language like that. And there are the safe mysticism thing, the safe Satanism thing, the safe whatever. Yeah. Maybe it's safer actually, even when it's difficult and you actually take part in that, you end up with that. It's actually, you're insane according to other people. You're whatever according to other people. And you own that, and it becomes less whatever. Because often laziness is where the real danger lies.